over, I believe, the AI Playbook a little bit. It's a short and sweet call. It's 30 minutes. So I don't like to take up too much time at all. We've posted as well we will post the guest calendar coming up. But Eric, the floor is yours. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, awesome. Well, I was excited when you said that I would hear some questions. So I guess I was most intrigued to not hear from myself. I was curious to get some questions. Obviously, my goal is to make the next 29 minutes as effective as possible and as valuable for the people that are here. If you got something out of the next 30 minutes of our time, what would be most valuable this morning? What would somebody want to get out of it here? I'm going to assume that you didn't stumble in on an accident, that you're hoping to accomplish something besides avoiding lead generation, which the real estate agents would never do. What do you want to get out of something you can implement immediately? Okay, we can do that. Is that if you were going to implement something? NAR just released a new survey, and it was regarding AI and technology. If you could implement something that would save you time, help you sell more real estate, or provide a better customer experience, would you prefer one of those three options? Time, better customer experience, or sell more real estate? If you couldn't get all three, how would you rank those, I wonder? Yvonne, I'm going to ask.
Eric, give
Yeah.
us the list again.
Yeah, it was save time, help more, provide a better customer experience, or sell more real estate.
Well, I think the customer experience for me would be number one. And I apologize, my camera is on the fritz this morning, so you can't see me. But customer experience, well, I think leads to all the others. If you start off in the right vein, and that's kind of where I want to start when I'm building my journey with the AI, is trying to make sure I have the right experience, get the right information out there, which will lead to the other two suggestions.
I love that. You know what's interesting is, and thanks for those of you that weighed in the chat. What's the thing that scored last on the survey respondents is basically the same thing that many of you are saying, was that making more money and selling more real estate was actually number three, behind basically what amounted to be a tie of save time and provide better customer experience. And then, as a byproduct, when you provide a better customer experience, you end up selling more real estate, right? That's how that works. You end up working with people that like you and working with people that you like. Before we jump into the playbook, I want to share a clip from Sam Altman, the CEO and co-founder of OpenAI, obviously famously for their AI app ChatGPT. I want to share this clip because this is the first time that I've heard Sam Altman say this, and I think that it's applicable to real estate agents and the fear that agents have. Maybe nobody on this call, but you've heard that AI will put real estate agents out of business, or you've heard the even worse cliche comment that real estate agents won't lose their job to AI; they'll lose their job to an agent who uses AI. And I couldn't hate that quote more. It's a little too fear centric for me. So I thought it was interesting that last week Sam Altman finally commented on what I thought was a good perspective when thinking about AI and thinking about the perspective that real estate agents have. So I want to play this video clip here really quick, then we'll dive into the content.
There are a lot of jobs that I don't think you want an AI to do. Or that many people don't want an AI to do. And there will be new kinds of jobs that people particularly want a person to do. I think we're very oriented towards caring about other people. I think that, speaking of these like deep biological things, I think that's one of them. So yeah, maybe you could have like a great AI teacher and it will not be as motivating to you as a mediocre human teacher. I could totally believe that. I could totally believe there's like something very deep in just knowing that it's a real person or not.
Yeah, I might disagree with you on that. I think an AI teacher can do so much more and understand you so much better. But
I think there will be a far better AI investor than you very soon. And
no question about it.
But but I personally still enjoy having dinner with you. And if you tell me like good job or you should do this, that's more motivating to me than an AI telling me that. And so I think you'll still have a job.
So I absolutely agree with you. no question, my job isn't any safer than most other jobs.
Much less safe. I will be able to do a lot of different jobs, maybe almost all jobs. And yet we will find out that biological programming is just very difficult to overcome.
I would completely agree with you. And in fact, this morning I talked about the fact that the biological programming won't evolve. So we will still want status, we'll still compete, we'll still have influencers in the attention economy, and we will still have caring for our children and elders and families. So, and we'll have much more time for all these things. So I agree with that.
Okay, what do you hear and what do you think the application is, or what do you take away from it as a real estate agent, real estate business owner? This is an interesting perspective from a guy who created the #1, used AI tool and resource. What do you take away from it though?
The customer still is going to want and crave the people interaction, especially something personal like a real estate transaction.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense to me. Anybody hear something different or interpret it differently or get a different message from it? Carol, you said the AI will give us more time to give a better customer experience. Yeah, absolutely. We heard that part too. I thought, to me, what really stood out was the idea that technology can change, but biology doesn't evolve at the rate of technology necessarily. There are some things where leadership and relationship take priority and have a higher result than what technology is able to do. I don't know if anybody has used Apple's new workout feature where you can have your iPhone try to encourage you to exercise and to elevate your heart rate, and it tries to coach and motivate you. It is nowhere near as effective as having a personal trainer or having a good cycling instructor or a good Zumba instructor or yoga instructor. The AI in your ear concept, while yes, it has more data and more insights and more information about you, it doesn't have the same impact on our consumer behavior, on our psychology. And so we see this show up over and over and over every year at the vision speech, right? We see Gary share the data with us, and the data shows that real estate sellers find their agent overwhelmingly. They were either referred to that real estate agent or they used the agent previously to buy a home. In fact, if you go back to 2006, before sites like Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com and all of these third-party portals existed, what you see is that the internet made up just 5% of decision-making for where a seller hired a listing agent in 2006. And funny enough, in 2024, despite 105 million people looking at real estate online last year, home sellers only hired 6% of their real estate agents by hiring them online. So 105 million people now look to buy a home on the internet, and yet only 1% more sellers choose who they're going to hire to list their home based on recommendations or based on their search process when looking online. And so while technology has evolved, it has not changed consumer behavior. We see it show up again every year. KW shares this with us at the family reunion and at Mega Camp. And before internet search, home buyers looked at houses for 8 weeks before they made an offer on a property. Today, despite the fact that 105 million people look at homes on your website and on other websites, it now takes 10 weeks for the consumer to search for a home before they make an offer. And so more technology, more knowledge, more information, less action for the same amount of action, right? The same amount of time. This is kind of fascinating.
Analysis.
It could absolutely be that, Chris. It could be that. And so it got me down this rabbit hole of, why don't I research this and see if it shows up somewhere else? How similar is buying real estate to other things that we do in life, Diana? And so I thought, you know what, we have all this technology today. We know that couples meet today overwhelmingly on the internet before they date and before they choose to mate and get married. And so I thought, well, maybe that's impacted how people choose how long they date before they get married. Funny enough, in 1970, what we found is that people met in person primarily, right? They were either you met your spouse in the 70s by either referral, or you knew them from grade school or from church or from work. And people on average, they dated 32 months before they got engaged and got married. Today, with the internet and the ability to find somebody that you're going to date all over the world, people marry a little bit later. But oddly enough, they date for 32 months on average before they get engaged and get married. And so more technology, more access, more distribution, Ryan, and yet people said that it takes the same amount of time to make a long-term decision and a long-term commitment, despite more technology, more information. And yet, so some biology and some consumer decision making just doesn't change, despite the fact that we have more access to more information. And so I leave with that information, and I think that now's the best time in the world to be a real estate agent. Because whether yesterday was the first day that you got a real estate license, or you've been doing this for 35 years, the beauty is that we all have now the intelligence to provide the best customer experience we've ever been able to provide to the consumer. And so the way that we've crafted the AI playbook for large language models, and this is kind of the first of the 3 versions that we're rolling out within the company, is the way that we've constructed this one is to put the word intelligence back into AI. Everyone calls it AI, but the truth is it's called artificial intelligence. And we've extracted the intelligence part out of the conversation. And so what we did with this playbook is we set out to give you a couple dozen plays and additional ways that you can be more intelligent in operating your real estate practice so that you can provide the customer with a better experience. Okay, so the goal here is how do you use large language models and use this playbook to go out and provide a better customer experience by having more knowledge and more information, and then ways to think about using the tools differently. So we'll talk about a couple of those here. And this would normally be probably a couple-hour workshop. So I'm just going to go through the highlights here. I'm curious, Diana, is there a right way and a wrong way to load a dishwasher?
Absolutely.
Okay. Are you married?
I am.
Does your partner agree that there's a right way and a wrong way to load a dishwasher, and you guys always agree on that way?
We do not agree on the same way.
Okay,
And
perfect.
neither
Chris,
do my children. I
Chris
usually go behind them and redo it.
Perfect. Chris is shaking his head like he's fully aware of how this conversation happens, that there's no right way, apparently, except for your way is wrong, Chris. I'm guessing the way that you loaded is probably wrong.
In all 2 marriages, yes.
That's right. That's right. And so what I've learned is that there's no consensus apparently on the right way and the wrong way to load a dishwasher. But if you're a husband, you know that your way is the wrong way. And so what I think is most valuable and what we found is that when working with large language models, there is no right way or wrong way to customize and personalize your AI assistant. There is just your way. Okay. And so no one's going to come along behind you and correct it and fix it. But if you do one thing when working with large language models, is what you'll find to be most effective is to customize it and to personalize it the way that you want to interact with it, so that you get incremental intelligence from using your AI assistant more and more over time. And so what we've done inside of the AI playbook is we've put together a couple page worksheet where, take 20, 30 minutes and take the time to be intentional about filling out the worksheet around how do you want your AI assistant to interact with you? What do you want it to remember about you? How do you want it to communicate? What style of writing or style of communication do you want it to have? Do you want it to speak Gen Z so that you can figure out how to have a conversation with your kids to get them to move out of your basement? Or do you want it to be succinct? Or do you want it to have detailed explanations? How do you prefer your communication style? and then complete your personal insights that you want to have filled out. Like who are the key people that you interact with on a daily basis? Right? Like I have mine personalized so that it knows my wife's name and age, and my that would be really awkward. My child Hudson is what I was attempting to say. My Hudson, my 7-year-old, I've got his information in there so that my AI assistants know that when I'm asking questions that would be appropriate for a child, that it answers appropriately for a child. Right? You can include your health goals, you can include your core values, beliefs. Fill out this, take time to be intentional about filling out the worksheet inside of the AI playbook that's available today inside of Connect or inside of which is nested in Command now, as you know. So go into Connect, download the AI playbook. You've got a worksheet in here that you can fill out, and inside of there, you'll then load and customize your AI assistant. Whatever your preference is, you'll be able to do that. The one thing I do like to touch on is any off-limit topics, right? So with my 7-year-old, we're still we're a Santa house, Brett. Now I know, Brett, you're a Santa guy as well. I could tell that every year you get just as excited as Hudson does when it's Christmas time. But I make sure that my Chat GPT knows that we're a Santa Claus house, and that Elf on the Shelf's name is Marshmallow, so that when my son picks up the phone and he has a conversation with Chat GPT, that it responds appropriately. Right. And so if there are some topics that you don't want to discuss, like politics, for instance, mine is told not to talk to me about any politics because I'm not interested in that brain rot. And so anything that you want off limits, or anyone who's using multiple devices, can be good for off limit topics. Include what you don't want to talk about. And then, of course, you're going to include things about your business. What are your goals? What metrics do you track? Because what we find is that the number one use case for large language models today is as a thought partner, or is having conversation and strategy. Overwhelmingly, people are using large language models right now more for personal use than business use. But again, that's why you kind of blend those two together to make it your assistant. And so if you've got the ChatGPT app, this is what it would look like to personalize it, right? You're going to go into your settings on the app. You're going to go into personalization, customize it, and then add in the information that you completed on the worksheet inside of the AI playbook on Connect. Okay, I'm going to pause and check the chat. Who's personalized theirs already? Anyone show hands? Ava, Ava, Rob. Okay, perfect. So 2, maybe 3. Awesome. Okay, good. Whenever we do the workshop in person, overwhelmingly the number one thing that people tell me the most valuable thing they did was to actually just personalize their AI assistant. Because what you're going to find is you're going to get, instead of getting broad general WebMD advice, you're going to get personal recommendation style advice to you based on the information that you've input. I'm not saying that you should do this. I'm just saying that I have done this. I have almost all of my health information loaded. Again, I'm not saying that you should do that. I understand that that's probably pretty stupid from a personal data integrity standpoint, right? However, I use AI assistants for health recommendations pretty consistently. And so it is just easier for me to load a few things that are a few medications and a few key biomarkers and get advice that's personal to me based on the context. Not saying that that's what you should or shouldn't do, but understanding that when you load it with personal information, you're going to get much more personal response back that is hyper specific and hyper attuned to you and your business, your life. Yvonne, I love that you just had the class yesterday. I hope it went really well. If not, pretend that I didn't write it. Okay, I'm going to claim that somebody else wrote the playbook. If it was terrible, then we'll work on firing the guy who wrote the playbook. when Gary's kind of got this thing structured, I think it's interesting. You know how Gary distills everything into its simplest form, right? He takes a complex topic and he distills it into its first principles and what's most simple. And what Gary has kind of distilled AI down to is that today there really are kind of two ways to think about bucketing AI use, and that's AI to generate leads and AI to get things done. AI to get stuff done and AI to generate leads. Primarily, all of the industry is focused on getting stuff done. Almost every AI use case is how do you do either repetitive tasks, how do you automate them, or how do you do things that are a little bit more complicated or require more knowledge and information? How do you mitigate some of the difficulty of that knowledge and information gap? There's very little use case today for how do you use AI to generate more business. It's almost all primarily on how do you use it to get things done and to save time. And yet, what we've begun talking about more and what we're going to roll out in another playbook is part of one of the additional forthcoming AI playbooks is the idea of people using AI for search. Okay, your consumers today, last year, they went to Google and they asked Google questions. They typed in some keywords and Google gave them back what amounted to be a research assignment. It said, here are the top 10 websites you should go read in order to get the answer to the question that you ask. Today, AI, when someone asks a question, AI provides the answer, right? And that's different. And so what we're seeing is that more people are using AI apps in lieu of search, which means that AI is now recommending real estate agents or recommending businesses when people ask about real estate or business related questions. And so when you think about how do you use AI to generate more business, the question that when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're journaling and you can't go back to sleep, the question that I would tell you to ponder is, what's the question the consumer asks that only has one answer, and that one answer is your business? What's the question the consumer asks that only has one answer, and that answer is your business? And I realize that question feels kind of clunky. It's intended to be that way, right? It's intended for you to have to think critically and deeply about what the answer to that might be. Because what's different about AI search today than what world we've been living in, which was Google search, is that real estate agents were previously recommended for all kinds of things not related to buying and selling real estate. Think about this. When someone asks about the best school system, it's possible that your website or that Zillow or that some local real estate website was the recommendation, or one of those 10 websites that the consumer would go to when they ask about what's the best school system in your town, or when they ask about the best neighborhoods to live in your city. It's possible that your website was cited by Google as one of the websites to go to research that information. Today, when the consumer asks, what are the best neighborhoods in Austin, Texas, AI will answer that question. AI won't give the consumer a homework project. And so the era of search has changed in that you want to think about what is the question the consumer asks where your business is the answer. I'm kind of curious if anyone has any thoughts on what that might be. This is a tough question, by the way. Here's what we see. It's okay. This is a difficult question. I think that there's probably only a dozen questions or so. It's not a wide set of questions that a real estate agent is the best recommendation for. And I think that's a good thing. Here's why it's a good thing, is because being a solution-oriented niche real estate agent in the era of AI search and answer is a good thing. here's what we're finding. Prompts are the way the consumer's asking AI questions is very different than the way that they ask Google. And so what we see is they're more long chain conversations. Like for instance, the consumer might say, I inherited a house from a relative and I need to sell it. Who should I contact to sell the house that I inherited? Very different than how someone would search on Google, right? Or the consumer might say, "Hey, I'm planning to get divorced, and we own a home. What do we need to do in order to sell our house while going through a divorce? Who should I contact? Or who are the people who specialize in helping someone going through a divorce sell their property?" What we're seeing is that the data shows us that more of the questions are specific and niche. And then what you'll find is that when your content is niche specific, when you service a specific market, you're recommended more by AI search than if you're a generalist. If you serve right sizing boomers, and that's your preferred target avatar, and all of your content and copy reflects that, and you're certified in senior relocation, and you've got some certification and it's posted online, you're more likely to be recommended than someone who specializes in first-time home buyers. Okay, and so what we're seeing so far is that the more niche specific you are about your target audience, who you specialize in, where you specialize, the more recommended you are by AI algorithms for being the answer to what the consumer's problem is they're looking to solve. And so as we think about moving forward towards this idea of using AI to get things done versus AI to generate leads, having AI that generates leads is currently about answering the question the consumer has, to where the only answer is to cite a real estate agent. Great question. So Rob, you asked a question in the chat and I've only got a couple minutes left, so that's perfect. Here's what I can tell you. If I could give you any homework to do from the call, other than downloading the playbook and getting it set up to go through the 2-hour workshop in your market center or locally in your region, what I would say is that yes, Gemini works great, by the way. Gemini is actually I actually think I think Google will win the AI race. I don't even think it's a debate, but I'm welcome to have, but we can have the debate if you want to. What I think is interesting though is, other than downloading, like I said, the content from Connect inside of Command, the homework I would give you is, if generating business online or having an online presence is important to you when you think about generating new business, here's what we're finding so far is there are 4 websites that are overwhelmingly being cited today in AI search. Why? Nobody has a good answer to. I've spent hundreds of hours in calls with the tech industry about this. What's interesting is overwhelmingly fastexpert.com is being used and weighted as the highest weighted source currently for real estate agent recommendations. If you're anything like me, you're probably thinking, what is fastexpert.com? I'm with you. And what I found was that I didn't have an updated profile on fastexpert.com. And so we were not being recommended when people were searching and asking questions that were local that we should have been the best answer to. So fastexpert.com, if you don't have a profile there, create one, link it so that your past sales and transactions are automatically updated. That will help you get cited more often, because for some reason that's being cited to, as of last week, that was cited on like 70% of real estate agent specific questions inside of ChatGPT search. What we're also seeing is Homelight. So homelight.com, and what used to be Angie's List, it's now just Angie. I don't know what happened to her list anymore, but it's Angie, formerly Angie's List, and Bigger Pockets. Okay, so Bigger Pockets, Angie, Homelight, and Fast Expert are the 4 that are uniquely being cited disproportionately more than what we were seeing in the Google era. And so when you've got some downtime, go on and check to see and make sure that you've got your profile updated on those pages. If nothing else, make sure that it has the correct name, address, and phone number, and that it has that you've got the exact same copy in your bio as far as who you specialize in serving, what areas you target in your ideal customer demographic, and then any certifications or specializations that you might have that would help you be cited for those niche specific questions. Update that on those 4 pages. That'll increase your likelihood of getting recommended. Yvonne, go for it.
Yeah, quick question. Thanks a lot, Eric. Great information.
Absolutely.
If you focus on the niche, as I know we've been hearing, does it hinder the other groups that will look you up, such as first-time home buyers, if you focus like on boomers?
Yeah, good question. So the answer is maybe, and if you have a preferred target demographic and you get far more energy and you service that demographic better, then that's always the trade-off of being a specialist versus being a generalist, right? Is if you're a rheumatoid arthritis, if you specialize in serving rheumatoid arthritis, then you're not going to be a good pediatrician. And that means that you're going to lose all the pediatrician business, right? That's the trade-off of doing short sales versus first-time home buyers. So a lot of it's going to depend on what your business goals are and who you aim to serve. Personally, my stuff is all generalist based because we sell a few hundred houses, and it's hard to be niche specific and also have really high volume in a Midwest suburb. And so, yeah.
I was just gonna say, can you have 2 niches and successfully
Yes.
focus on 2? Okay.
Yes. So because you can always create the content for both. It's going to be about, does AI find you to be reputable? And do you have content that matches the consumer search, and is it reputable? So the example I always think of is Donnie Hara in Hawaii, right? Where John runs the KW real estate planner community, which specializes in helping families sell houses that they've inherited, or helping people sell property by avoiding probate and having a plan for their real estate wealth in Hawaii. They don't exclusively serve that community. They also, if you wanted to sell a house and you didn't inherit it and you weren't going through probate, they'll still help you run that. They'll still help you transact. But they also have a very niche specific division that they service. So they create content for both. So you're looking at if you have a specific target market, you're creating content for your target market, and you still have your content that would be generalist specific, that would be the broader public.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Eric. We're always mindful of, keeping it to 30 minutes, but it's just been so much information you provided. I think the first thing people are going to do, if they haven't already, is download that playbook and do exactly what you said. So I appreciate you taking time to come on, Eric.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anything anyone needs from me, let me know. Like I said, download the playbook in Connect, work on getting it taught in your market center. Any questions? Like I said, there's a couple dozen plays in there that aim to give you the opportunity to provide a better experience for the consumer and integrate intelligence into the business. So let me know any way that I can help as we continue to roll out more playbooks within the company.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for taking the time. We know how busy you are every week. So carving out 30 minutes. I love that we had a whole office from KW St. Martin on the call. So please share it with your market centers. And we'd love to see more kind of groups on the call each week. Next week, we have Jeffrey Kale, who's going to go over landing pages and AI and how to implement them. So we're excited about that as well. So have a great rest of your Friday, everyone. And we will see you next week. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.